All right, peeps, everything is printed out or exported out, and come from a paper design background, obviously a printing background. It's all out, and I've pulled the segments that I have exported into our little project file here. So for example, here are these HUD lenses, and then we have our little HUD graphic for those doohickeys. Got this little graphic and this little graphic. So basically, what I'm going to do is grab all of these things, composite them down into one thing. So what I'll do is I'll attach them all to this 3D node that I already have set up, and then I can adjust their depth as far as off of each other. But if I do this, oh no, oh no, oh no, that doesn't work. It doesn't work because I need to turn them into, I need to give them all their little image planes. So yoink, and yoink, and yoink, and yoink. And then now I can go kabam, kabam, kabam. Oops, and grab that one, and kabam. And now this jumbly mess is all the things all set up and ready to go. Speaking of labeling, let's label this stuff up. Now I know what everything is. So now I know I want the text wall, which are these two things, to basically be, and me physically moving on this is not moving this. It's just organizational. So the lenses is closest to her, and then the text walls, and then the little icons. First thing we got to do is maybe move the camera back. So let's grab the camera. And that's assuming I don't want to shrink everything down. But if I don't have to shrink anything down, then I won't. So we'll have the lenses kind of fill the frame there. That's cool. The text stuff now. One of the things that I used to do, or most people do as far as like After Effects, is you do this. If you get them over the top and you're able to kind of zoom in on this stuff here, we'll come down to here. It makes it a little easier to work. So we can see that the lenses, and then we'll click on the lenses. So all of those image planes are outside of this by about that much, right? But I can tell that the lenses, because I've got this final export out, the lenses are fine. So then what I can do with this text wall is grab it and move it forward a little bit, and maybe grab this other text wall and move it forward a little bit, and then grab all these icons and move them forward, and I'm going to move them over so they're sort of sitting on the red where they'll look better. And then now they get to get shrunk scale. I was like, I know there's something in there. So we'll shrink those down a little bit just for now. We'll move them over here. Whoa. And clearly there's going to have to be more icon or more things. There's going to have to be more objects in order to make this look interesting at all. Let's try left, see what happens. All right, there we go. Because right now we're not filling up very much of the space. And let's try top again, so I can kind of get this into the safe area. Not that it's going to matter too much. We'll move it right about in there. The text wall, I can tell, is the scale is a little off, so I'm going to end up having to increase it. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mess around with this a little bit, moving things around, which is boring, and then I'll export it out, and I'll show you what the export looks like, and then we will commence to attaching it to all those little tracking things that we did. And this will give me an idea of how many more objects I kind of need to add to that to make it look interesting. So that's what's going on. All right, so I'll see you in a bit. All right, so this thing's rendering out, and there's a little time code up here that kind of gives a rough idea of how long it's going to take, and it's looking like 45 minutes, which isn't great, obviously. Also because I'm running the OBS software to record this, that's not helping either. So I'm going to shut off the OBS software and let it export, and then we'll come back when it's done and we'll see what happens. All right, so we did a big old export of all this stuff I've been working on, as you can see, and I did a bunch of redesign stuff, so it matches kind of what you were watching in the previous video, but in a lot of ways it doesn't. I'll show you the project. Should have clicked to originally anyway. Here is the project, which looks all small and simple. We've got the little media out, which basically is the thing that it's exporting out in a little renderer, and a little camera and a little merge tool. And after trying to hook it up to footage, trying a bunch of different methods, I decided that I was just going to print out the timeline of this effect and then chop it up and place it over the individual pieces of footage. What that means is, so I'll just basically take this and I'll just hack it as I need it. What that means is, though, it's not going to have a true 3D effect because I'm not applying it directly to the footage. Too much memory problem. I'm trying to do too much stuff, so it's not going to have that really sort of like bounce out thing. So what I'll do is I'll kind of manipulate the corner pins in a way that hopefully will make it look close enough. And again, it's a fan series, so me spending 2 weeks or a month or something on this, it's not worth that extra bit. I'm not trying to apply to be like a special effects guru. I'm a writer and a director, and I'm doing this because when you don't pay people, you do it yourself, which is fine. That's totally the way the world should work. So what happened was is each of these little segments are groups, which was the control, I'm on a PC, control G, and that puts things down into little groups. So any of these things I can click on open up these gigantic, messy gnarls of all the actual tools that have gone in there. And I want to keep everything simpler. So we have the little lenses, which are these little square black and white things. There's a little bit of a text doohickey here, which is this little text thing at the bottom. I basically just tried to fill the areas with stuff. And then there's this little icon thing that I was working on quite a bit down in the corner. There's some vertical lines for fun that go back and forth and some dots that go back and forth. And then in theory, there's some text that pops up here. So I exported it last night. It took forever, but it came out fine. I had a minute of basically this thing. So that's the little text I was talking about, which isn't shown up here for some reason. And then there's some blinky dots down here. So I'll just play this for a second or two. You can kind of see it going nuts. There's all kinds of stuff little moving around and shrunk down and put on a set of glasses. I think it'll look okay. There's a few issues here, though. One is this little vertical line isn't doing anything, and I want it to do stuff like these ones are doing. So this little vertical thing isn't moving around, which is a bummer. And the text, which shows up here, disappears and then never comes back. That's going to be a fairly easy fix. Making this move is going to be a fairly easy fix. And then the other thing is these blue dots kind of pop on and off, which I like, but the red ones are kind of static and just sit there. So I need the red ones to be doing something as well, because otherwise, I don't know, there's just not enough motion or something. One of the other issues will be, because this is a video file, I'll have to mess around with the, what do you call it, transparency over the actual clips. So this is a test export that I did, which is missing a few of the elements, but you get kind of a general idea of what's going on with it. And as you can tell, I need to basically take these little corners and move them in a way that makes it look like they're a little more separated from the glasses. I'm not going to be able to put like a shadow or weird little reflections or anything like that. I'm not going to worry about that as much. But if I moved it out, let's stop it here. If I moved it out maybe to here and had it offset a little bit, I think it'd give a little better illusion of 3D. And then, I don't know, I may round these edges. There's a lot of little aesthetic things I probably need to do before I dial it in. And then this text, which again shows up here and disappears, that needs to kind of be happening throughout it. So that's the general idea, though, and that's enough information for this tutorial. And I'm going to mess around with it some more, and then eventually I'll post the final results up. It's possible, I can't promise anything, it's possible I just may turn Twitch on and just be working on Twitch without necessarily any comment. So for those of you that are potentially interested in that, Old Man Yells at Cloud OG on Twitch and check that out every once in a while, or follow it. And when I'm just working, I'm going to try to get into the habit of just turning on the Twitch feed, dealing with any trolls that show up, and just working, and maybe making a comment here and there if I see somebody that's in the chat room, or knowing that the stream is going to be up for a couple of days. I might be like, hey, this is why I did this or whatever. So it'll most likely though be like a long series of boring with little sporadic bits of information in it. But if that interests you, check it out. All right, that is it. Thanks.